Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the official Bay Street Barons podcast. As always, I'm your host, Farhan Said.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Nuwair.
And today we've had quite the week in the markets. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to talk about. It's very eventful. So I think without further ado, let's just jump right into it with the first thing that I think is on everyone's minds. That is sort of I think we talked about it maybe two to three episodes ago, which is the long-awaited Robinhood IPO. What are we thinking about this? What do we have to say?
I mean, I think we all called it the second it was publicly traded. It just like there was not a single moment when it went green on the IPO day. I think I think it started trading at $38 and just instantly just went.
Was an instant, I think, 10% drop, like right
Yeah.
away. Like, normally you'll see IPOs with like, they'll start off just, but nope, this was the complete opposite. Why do we think that? What was the reason for that?
There's a lot of factors that can play into like the risk behind Robinhood, like investing in it. You've for one, you've got the army of disgruntled former customers after the whole late January incident with the stopping of the trading.
Of course,
Second of all, there's now talk from the SEC about regulating and possibly prohibiting payment for order flow, which is the main source of Robinhood's revenue. There's also a lot of lawsuits against Robinhood for the gamblingization, so to speak, of investing. Um, in Massachusetts, I believe it is, the state is suing Robinhood for making essentially the stock market into a literal casino. As I think it's something like 60% of their revenues is option fees. So there's a lot to unpack with this before anyone can even start to think about shelling out money for a stake in it.
yeah. This was the absolute worst timing for an IPO for this company. Like, absolutely horrible.
Didn't
Um,
they didn't they announce the IPO the day after the $70 million FINRA fine?
Yeah,
it
something
was
like
like
that.
right in that time that week. Yeah. So,
And
oh my God.
they IPO'd at a lower valuation that they were originally expected to as well, and they still like dropped 10%. Like take
What
into
was the
account,
original valuation?
I don't know off the top of my head, but like they had a range, and this was like on the lower end. A lot of people were expecting it to be like in the higher end. I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe we can search it up later. But
Mhm.
it was on the lower end as well, and on top of that, another 10% drop. So yeah, people just not buying into the Robinhood IPO, or not taking accustomed to it nicely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely a company that is good, has a dangerous future, a really, really dangerous future. Let's talk a little bit more about their army of Redditors and Wall Street bet users. You think that they're gonna soon kind of is there some sort of plan for their downfall?
I'm not aware of any planned. Um, However, one would be able to extrapolate how, these people, most of them being young, the average Robinhood user, I believe, is like early 20s in age compared to like Charles Schwab, where it's like 60 plus. Um, these people, they started with, you know what, back in January, right? Let's put, a couple $100 in AMC or GameStop or whatever the stocks that were being talked about back then, and they all shot up, and then all of a sudden these Reddit traders are now, they have a lot of capital to work with, and then a lot of that got taken away. Some of them made it back when it ran up again, and then they see this Robinhood IPO, and it's like, oh, I'll show you. And then it's just like the put button on the Robinhood apps just getting tapped
Was I was
spastically.
just I was just about to say, how much are we putting on put options for this stock? When are we doing
Like
it?
uh,
Like,
and
just let me know. I'm in it.
a lot of the memes were really really funny too, where it's like from Avengers where Thanos goes, "I use the stones to destroy the stones." It's just like a kid with his Robinhood app. It's like I
uh,
use the Robinhood to destroy the Robinhood. Crazy.
Oh my God. What a world we live in.
Yep.
Absolutely crazy. But yeah.
I mean,
Speaking of so-called dip, or as we like to say, rinsing, we had a lot of huge companies reporting earnings this week. A lot of them reported great earnings, a lot of them missed earnings, and they all got rinsed.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Because we know that earnings do not correlate with
Nope,
stock price at all
nope.
anymore. Nope.
We've
Not in
been
this day and age.
saying this. We've been saying
We've
this
been
since the
saying
first
this.
Let's
episode.
let's let's
Earnings are
start
a
off
gamble.
with the biggest of the rinsing, Amazon. So I believe Nuwair, you said they missed revenue expectations.
I think so. Don't quote me on that. I'm not
Okay.
100% sure, but yeah, their earnings just weren't the
So,
best.
so if you look at the graph, it's like it's literally flat. But then when you click the 5 day,
Ouch.
You have it on
yikes!
this. Oh, let's see this.
Oh Lord.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That
like
that
look the one
ver-
day, 5 day.
vertical. That's vertical, that line. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's a
really,
90-degree angle there, folks.
yeah. Jeez.
8%, that's pretty like they must have missed it by like a huge margin.
Yeah, can we see the
Yeah.
numbers here?
Let's
Don't.
see. 4 reasons why Amazon stock is getting nailed. Uh,
I mean, even
It's the
if
first time they missed revenue
yeah,
forecasts in 3 years.
Hmm.
there
So
you
that
go.
probably spooked some people.
That gives me
Which is
some
kind of odd
confidence.
because, sorry, what?
I was gonna say that gives me some confidence knowing that okay, because earnings are like kind of my thing. I'm like, okay, at least I got that part right. They missed revenue estimates. Okay, I can give myself
Some
a pat
hope,
on the
yeah, some
back.
hope is restored.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Which is kind of weird though, because I was reading something earlier about like their cloud revenue growth has been up like some absurd amount, like 35% in the second quarter. But I don't know, I guess overall it wasn't too much.
I mean, another
But
company, Google, who reported earnings, their cloud growth has been like they've been putting a lot of money into their cloud resources, so they're definitely up there, or they're definitely fighting against Amazon for that space.
I wonder if the people that are watching this on YouTube can actually point and see where Google reported earnings.
I don't know. I think it's
I
in the far
wonder
right.
where.
No, not no. I don't think it's on the other side.
I thought Google went up.
No, it went down.
Oh, I
Going
think
The
up
only one that
after
went up was
earnings?
Microsoft.
was it Microsoft? I think
Yeah,
it
they
was.
reported on Tuesday, and it just took the stumble. Because
Seems
this
like
was
cloud
today,
services
Thursday
is
to Friday. They didn't report today. They reported a while ago. It's Tuesday.
mhm. So Noah, what were you just saying about Google also focusing on a lot of their cloud services?
Oh, it might be okay if it's their second stock with L at the end.
Oh, I got the wrong one.
Yeah, they went up. So yeah, there you go. I don't know
Oh,
why the difference is, but that's one that I was looking at. I'm like, sure they went up quite a bit.
okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because they absolutely smashed their revenue estimates by like
Right?
double
Didn't they
digit
double it?
percentage. Yeah, something insane.
Yeah, that just showed on the thingy thing here. Yep. Is that it? No, that's Q1.
Yahoo Finance got to up their game, man. Like, why are they always late on
Delayed.
the earnings graph? Come on.
And then another one that reported earnings, and unfortunately for the stockholders that didn't, or unfortunately for the holders of this company, didn't do as well as Google today. Got another 90-degree angle here, boys.
My God,
It's rough.
18% on an
that
earnings
is
day.
so rough. This is the
That's rough.
absolute first time I'm looking at the Pinterest stock. I don't think I've
That's
ever
also
looked up this company stock in my
same.
life.
Yeah, me neither.
So
But
this is a pretty embarrassing time to be looking at it.
just
But
demolished. And then another one that reported earnings this week, we had everyone's favorite, Apple. They were Tuesday after hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see they had a dip, about a $4 dip, and it was just immediately bought.
Yeah, it was pretty like stagnant to be honest. Like it went down prior, like it ran down or dipped down before earnings as well. But it
The
didn't
day
move a
traders hopped
lot.
on that. Yeah, the day traders hopped on that so quickly. Like that is insane.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like I don't
I mean that's what you
like.
kind of want to see in like if you're holding a stock and it's reporting earnings, you don't want like a big move. I like both up or down in a sense, because then it's like okay, if it goes too far up, it's like okay, is it to the point where it's overvalued and do I need to sell it now? You know, is the risk that it's too expensive now? Whereas if it goes down, you're like, okay, has it gone too down? Where it's like, and I don't have enough capital to buy back in. I think that's not like a bad um price fluctuation based off earnings. But that's just my opinion, though.
True. True. I honestly feel that way for anything, not even just earnings. If I one day see one of my stocks I'm holding up like 40% for some reason, I start panicking like, whoa, like what's going on? I start checking the news, I start seeing what's happening, because it either means that something that it's either overvalued, something's going on, and I need to either, I need to fix my position, right?
Yeah.
It's never really a good thing.
What
Because then
about
it
if it's
kind of
like?
comes, huh?
What about if it's one of your like long-term positions?
No, but
Would
it's
you?
up 40% in the day.
Yeah. Would you
I think at
like
that
force
point
Like
I
you
would want to
you
sell, and that pains me. I'm like I was in this for the longer. Now it's up 40%. Do I just take my profits and dip? You know,
because
which is the
it has you
decision I
thinking
don't want to
that.
make.
Yeah, it has you thinking that, there's a lot of trading going on here. There's some sort of hype that's been brought around this stock. So, I don't know what to do. I've been in that position too much this year.
really? I was gonna well because you don't really see a 40% green day on the the long-term positions that I typically do work with.
Yeah,
Your
well, I
your
mean,
large banks, your huge your large caps, like you don't see that kind of thing.
mhm. So if you were
If
to see what's going through your head, first
if
thing.
I was to see one of my bank stocks up 40% in one day,
Yeah.
I would think, yo, finance has got something wrong on their end. That there's no way that's right.
We just F5, refresh the page real quick.
Yeah, because you got to think about it. Like, I know we think about this from like the money in our account perspective, but you also got to always remember that it's the value of the business. Like Apple, if Apple was to be up 40% in one day, you're looking at $1 trillion in value added to the company almost.
Yeah, that's what's scary.
So what could possibly happen that would make $1 trillion difference
Exactly.
I mean, I
for the
guess not
upside?
with like blue chip stocks. You probably won't
No,
see
it
that.
wouldn't
Yeah,
happen.
but
It
like if
wouldn't
you have
happen
like
if
a
small
smaller
cap.
small caps and it's up like maybe not 40%, like 20% even. You have 20%, like a 20% jump in a day. It's still that okay? Like now I gotta go back and do more like research, analyze my position, and figure out do I is this the moment where I need to sell and move on, or take at least some profits, or do I just keep holding?
It's usually always catalyst based things that like those sudden like rises. What was that one company that was gonna like there was like speculation of them merging with Lucid Motors or whatever back in
CCIV.
like yeah, and there was the whole like 40% rise one day, 30% drop the other day, and it was just like an up and down like cycle, just
Yeah.
strictly based off who has the more reliable catalyst today. You wake up one day, oh, they're not merging. You wake up the next day, they might merge.
Yeah.
And then that
Stuff
also
like
comes
that.
in like it if you have a stock that makes such a run like that, it's so hard to make the sell decision because it's like the what if scenario eats at you. Like,
Exactly.
Exactly.
what about if it keeps going? What about if blah blah blah, or what about if yada yada yada? You know what I mean? So it's like you gotta play both ends of the stick kind of with that one.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
the
I
what
hate
if is the
that.
most dangerous thing in finance. The most dangerous.
I mean, another stock that ran up and had earnings was AMD, and they did really well as well. They're up quite a
Ooh,
bit. Yeah, it's
Oh, this is
insane.
nice.
ooh,
Yeah, you love to see this.
Yeah,
that's
especially for my
lovely.
semiconductors. Oh, I love watching semiconductors go up.
Of course.
Quite the week it's had, my
Hmm.
lord.
I mean, Intel is slacking. AMD's taking over. Like, Intel has been slacking. And for those of you who follow Stocks Club on Instagram, guys, probably would have seen the what's it called, the sector spotlight. We mentioned uh to watch out for AMD and their battle against Intel and whatnot. But yeah, AMD is just absolute monster. It ran up after earnings, and then the day after it ran up as well. So it's been had a pretty good week.
Between
Yeah,
Intel and AMD, there's an interesting differential in market cap though. AMD sitting at 129 almost, and Intel's at 217.
Yeah,
So and
yeah,
and then you get into the other one, Nvidia, which is like double that.
just insane.
yeah, but like Nvidia is more like different. Like I want to say the battle is more between Intel and AMD, like directly in the sense of like processors and whatnot. Like when you look in your laptops, like right now, do you guys have mostly Intel or AMD in your laptops or computers? Do you guys know?
I have
Uh,
Intel. Well, I have both. I have Intel and Nvidia, but Nvidia is my like my graphics card.
right. I have the, the an Intel chip and then a Nvidia graphics card.
Okay, so I have an AMD chip, and then um, I think I also have I don't know what graphics card, but yeah, like lately, like if you go back 10 years, like that wouldn't even be a question. Like Intel was the standard. I
Intel,
would say yeah, it would be
100%.
Intel everywhere. But now it's like okay,
Hmm.
AMD's creeping in and they're growing. I would say at faster rate. Or they are actually growing at a faster rate compared to Intel as well. So I'm interested. Like I'm interested to see where that goes. But my heart still lies with Nvidia. That's where my loyalties lie.
Of course, but we love to see the underdogs come up, you know?
Right. But Nvidia sells a completely different product though. They
Yeah,
don't make separate processors.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
It's more between AMD and Intel that battle.
Yeah. Hmm. What other companies are there that make chips?
So those
If
are the main ones for
Those are the
computing.
main
yeah,
ones, really. Like, I don't even think I've heard of anything else in say, in a computer.
well, there's
Like,
um, I could go
can't even think of any.
I could go like Alex can go into his JP Morgan stuff. I could go into a stock called there's Micron MU, the ticker symbol MU. They create data and memory storage chips. So um like they have different like your RAM in your computers. It would be a lot of
Hmm.
that would be
Right, I
generated
was gonna
through
say like
Micron.
M.2 drives and that kind of thing
Yeah,
they make, right?
Okay.
like where all of that, like in graphics card for Nvidia, they have graphics cards that use some of the technology from Micron, as their like data storage and memory retention and whatnot. So there's all that, and there's like applied materials for like, um, all like the material and manufacturing stuff, and there's a bunch. There's a bunch.
But the thing is like so they make storage, but do they make like RAM per se or no?
So they have three main. So there's DRAM technology, which is like in your laptop, like there's like that RAM in the back. But as soon as you
Oh,
turn it off,
DRAM, like for graphics cards,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So but as soon as you
Okay.
like turn it off, it's like that data is gone. So it's not really stored. And they have like NAND, I think is how it's pronounced, like in your phones and laptops and whatnot. And there's like NOR, which is for like operating systems and stuff. So they have those like the three main kinds. I know Intel's also in that space slightly, as Samsung is as
Right.
well. Um, but yeah,
Corsair is another one. They make RAM and various other computer components.
yeah, like the semiconductor
But
industry is huge. Like, but they're
right,
all in
right.
like different areas.
Wait, so Nowhere, coming back to the whole AMD versus Intel thing, why do you think AMD's kind of like suddenly on this rise? Like what are they doing
I
that's making
mean,
them stand out?
you
If you know.
you look at Intel's cash and their cash flow. They're generating so much cash, but like, it's not going anywhere. Like their R and
They're not
D,
investing it.
they're not putting a lot of money back into the company. Like it, you look at Intel's financials and you're like, okay, this is a really good company. Why is it trading at like such a discount compared to AMD and stuff? But then it's
Mhm.
like it's not really coming out. It's not innovating at the same level as AMD, and AMD just provides better value from a consumer standpoint. Like with their chips, consumers just feel it's better value.
In
Okay.
like if you were looking at um stats here, Intel's trading at a PE of 12, whereas AMD's at a PE of almost 40.
Yeah, yeah.
Earnings per share of $2.84 for AMD versus 450 for Intel. And
Hmm.
Intel has a dividend while AMD doesn't.
These are very
Yeah.
like not contradictory, but very like almost similar statistics.
Yes.
One, they're better in one, better in the other, you know?
So you look at that and you're like, "Oh, Intel seems like, like a good company that you would want to put in." But then you look at how they've like recently been performing and compare that to AMD, and it's just like, well, like, oh, where are the financial, like, where's all that um revenue really going into? Whereas AMD's heavily just like innovating, trying to like catch up, and they've taken quite a bit of market share away from Intel.
Right. Ever since they got I forget her name, their CEO apparently ever since she came on board, she apparently like has been cranking these chips out and that have just been slapping Intel around is what I've been hearing. When I was going to buy parts to upgrade my computer, I was reading about it and it was just everyone was just like Intel's behind, blah blah blah. The AMD CEO lady is just giving them what it's worth. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nuwair, but doesn't AMD also make graphics cards?
I'm not entirely sure. I think so.
I
They
think
I
might.
they
swear they
do.
do. They
The
do. Pretty sure they
Radeon
do.
cards, right?
Yeah.
Let me see,
Right, but
cause
those don't
yeah, okay.
compare
So
to
I
those
have
two.
I have
Yeah.
that in my laptop. I have Radeon in my laptop. So as much as I
Right.
like Nvidia, I have my entire laptop's AMD based. A big controversy, but yeah, that's
Like
But I think like the line of the which is the best chip is, you know, it could be debated versus
yeah,
AMC versus Intel, but I think from what I remember, it's been a while. But in terms of which is the better graphics card, I think Nvidia has AMD there.
yeah. I would agree on that, and that's coming with my bias. So take that with a grain of salt. But but one thing I will say though, and I don't know if this has changed, but I remember like it's been like a few months. AMD, like their entire presentations when they come out with new technology and stuff. And I mean this in the best way possible, and no offense to AMD, but they gotta up their presentation game. Cause I remember watching their stock price a couple times while like they were presenting and like coming out with like their new technology, and it was like a robotic voice, super monotone. Like any normal investor can't really understand it, and the stock price was plummeting. Like it went down $1 or two within like 5 minutes
these
while they
little
were
things, huh,
presenting.
that actually means so much.
Yeah,
Think wasn't there the clip? It was probably during the pandemic, but when Nvidia was doing theirs, where they're unveiling all the new products, didn't the CEO pull one of the new graphics card out of his oven in his kitchen?
I
What?
don't remember exactly.
I
I
think he did. Like in the middle of the presentation, he's like, "Wait, we've got something cooking," and he turns around
Oh.
and pulls it out of his
so
oven.
cringe. Did like do you know like how that correlated with the stock price
Yeah,
or no?
like I mean, like think about it. It can only go up, man. He
I
pulled
hope
the
it
card out
dropped.
of his oven, man. It had to have
Nah,
gone
for
up.
that cringe joke, nah. Why I said that shit down?
Can you imagine you're sitting there thinking about, what should I buy this stock? Should I buy this stock? Yes, no, and then the CEO pulls a graphics card out of his oven. It's like, I
Yeah,
Oh man.
but it's gonna be
But
interesting to
yeah,
see 10 years from now. What I'm gonna come back to this podcast 10 years from now, and be
let's
like,
see.
and I'm gonna see if like, okay, did Intel come back or did AMD just run over them, or what's happening with Nvidia and stuff like whatnot. It's gonna be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to
It's
see.
definitely a big industry. Semiconductors are definitely a huge
huge.
industry that's going to keep growing. Another one we spoke about briefly earlier was the cloud services when we were talking about Amazon and Google. I think cloud services and semiconductors, two industries that are going to blow, or just not blow, but continue to rise a lot.
I mean, you take in like semiconductors are also involved in cloud services, with a certain aspect as well. So it's like, but the industry is very, or the market is very cyclical, very supply and demand heavy. So that's a big risk when you're looking into semiconductors.
It's very speculative, though, I feel, these semiconductor stocks. A lot of the smaller ones are extremely speculative, so it's like I don't I stay away from that. I'm a happy consumer. Like
Speculative why? Just because there's like such giants?
no, 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 no. I mean like with the smaller ones, like not Nvidia, not AMD, like other.
Yeah,
Like ones that are in the space, the smaller ones, there's a lot of speculation. There's always like, a lot of that rumor stuff where if you're not constantly in the loop, you could get burned. So it's like I'll be a happy consumer, but I don't think I'd be investing.
Yeah. I would say yeah, especially in like such an industry like semiconductors, and like you're basing your if you're calling it an investment and basing it off speculation, that's very risky. Like with anything,
you already know what we think about that.
yeah. Like with
Yeah.
anything that you're doing that, like in any sector, it's already risky enough. Especially semiconductors, where it moves so much for absolutely no reason. Sometimes, like sometimes you just wake up and it's like semiconductors are down like 2%, and you're like, why? There's just one semiconductor news came out, so the rest of them also tanked 2%, and
Like
it's very very what's the word I'm looking for? I have no clue. Alex, go ahead.
a bit of a computer nerd. Like I like to build computers. Like I find that fun. Um, I built my own, and then I've got a bunch of parts to build my parents' one. So I like that. And then like, I thought I knew, and then it's like you look at the semiconductor industry and you start reading some of these articles, and it's like, no, I don't.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like you definitely have to know a lot, like not a lot, but you need to be a little bit techie, to keep up with some of
Yeah.
these stocks and actually know what the hell is going on, rather than just watching these numbers float around.
yeah, and like that's I don't know. There's probably a lot of investors who say this. I want to say this was also in the book Intelligent Investor, but you want to invest in something that you ideally understand and in a space that you understand. So like if you're
Of
investing in
course.
something that you have no knowledge of and some news comes out, how are you going to be able to take that news, figure out if it's good or bad, and then be like, okay, how is this going to affect the company, and how does that affect my evaluation of the company 10 years from now? But if you understand that market and that industry, then you can get a better grasp and a better understanding of what each new news or each new update on the stock or on the market actually means.
Of course, you can't call it a knowledgeable investment unless you're knowledgeable in where your money is going, right? In what the company is, what the industry is.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
That always plays back to the do your research, folks. Don't, you know, base your buy or sell decision on an article or a video you see. Always double, triple, quadruple, quintuple check everything, at least a
Really
couple
not those
sources.
articles, Alex. What are those articles that always come up on Google when you search? The ones that we were like Motley Fool or something?
Yeah, Motley Fool is like
Definitely do
literally within the
not.
same day. If you're looking at a stock, they'll send out one article that's like 3 reasons I wouldn't buy this with free money, and then half an hour
Yeah,
later when it's up 4%, it's like 10 reasons why you should buy. It's like
exactly. It's
what people should be using, and I know it's boring for most people except for nerds like me, but you should be using the Edgar
look
segment.
at JP Morgan. It was just like there right away. Like that was the link that came up. Look at this guy.
Like this is the
uh,
site you should be using for your preliminary research. Like I know it, like a lot of people, like sure, if you don't understand like the accounting and financial lingo, it can be difficult, but like I encourage you to go and learn it so that way you're a more knowledgeable investor, and then you should come on here, pull up 10Ks and just go through it. It's the best way to learn.
and I would
Yeah.
say a good rule of thumb you should have is when you're about to make an investment, play devil's advocate. Like ask yourself questions that if you're pitching that investment to, like, let's say your dad, he would ask you, or like to some random investor, he would ask you those questions. Like what are some I can't really think of any questions at the top for like all investments, but start thinking of questions that someone else would ask you and how you'd be able to answer those questions. And if you don't know how to answer those questions, that means that you got to go back, you got to do more research, because again, you should thoroughly understand what you're investing in and what the risks are.
Right. And then also another thing that you should keep in mind is you should be able to understand your trade or your investment or the security or the ETF you're buying so well that you can explain it to a child. So if you can't explain it to a child, then you don't know what you're buying. Excuse my dogs. I think a squirrel probably ran by the backyard.
Yeah, I agree 100%. How are
Um,
we for time, Noor?
we're closing in, so any closing remarks here and there? I know there's a
Uh,
couple more earnings coming this week, so might have to do another episode like this next week, but we'll see. But for now, I think that covers most of what we had to talk about.
of course, and a lot of the earnings, upcoming earnings and sector spotlights and whatnot can also be found on our Instagram at Stocks Club. So definitely make sure to check that out. You sometimes get the info before you hear it in the podcast, which is great. But yeah, any closing thoughts? I feel like we always close our podcast on a where we give these sort of these like little almost like lectures, like use the SEC website,
Use the
ask
SEC
ask the
website.
ask the questions, be the devil's advocate. But I guess that's what this podcast is for. We hope that you guys can actually take something useful away from this.
And
That's
ask
the whole
us
point, right?
questions as well. Don't be
Yeah,
shy. Be asking us questions so that we also gotta answer some of those hard questions that you guys, may have, or ask questions like, okay, what do we look for in some investments that we do, stuff like that. If whatever comes to mind, feel free to leave it in the comments.
of course. All right. Well, I guess that wraps up today's episode. Thank you guys again for watching. Leave your comments, suggestions, everything down below, and we will see you guys next week.